Ntombenhle, thank you so much for your time today. Let's start off with the local currency. We've seen some interesting moves. We did breach that key 720 level. It's really got to do with the risk appetite, risk aversion play. But at the end of the day, a lot of people are still nervous about the non-farm payrolls number. What impact is that going to have on the local equity bourse and also just looking at the local currency?
I think it's a very important number, as you've been mentioning throughout the program. You know, that is what the market is looking at the moment. Nobody wants to make a move or necessarily a big move before that number is released. So yesterday the initial jobless claims came out, and that surprised quite heavily on the bad side. So I think there's a lot of anticipation that non-farm payrolls also will surprise on the negative side. And I think also unemployment rate is also coming up in the States. Previously it was 9.5. I think it's expected to increase a little bit to about 9.6. So, you know, huge numbers coming out, and just nobody willing to put some money on the table and bet either way.
It's interesting, Ntombenhle, wouldn't you say that it's mostly being priced in, because we know what the jobless environment looks like in the US at this point in time? We know it's going to be a jobless recovery. At least that is what many people are talking about. Why do you think that investors are still relatively cautious when these numbers always basically come up?
I think, you know, yes, it is priced in, but, you know, the surprises are not necessarily priced in. There is a decrease that is expected, but, you know, should it decrease far more? Should it be perhaps nearer to last month's numbers? I think that would be, you know, that's what investors perhaps haven't anticipated. But yes, certainly a degree of erosion in those numbers has been priced in. But it's the surprise element to it and the worsening of it that, you know, I think what traders will be betting on.
Taking a look at some of the earnings that we've been seeing in South Africa, Old Mutual reported a 43% jump in first half profit, boosted by higher earnings. Wealth management business also doing relatively well. Give us your view on these numbers, given the fact that it's still a relatively uncertain time for a lot of insurers and banks out there.
I think, yeah, it was a very, very good showing from Old Mutual, return to profit, you know, and I think also boosted by the sentiments surrounding the sale of its US life business. And, you know, I think the market received that very well, even though that will be only concluded, I think, at the end of the year. But, you know, what it does is that it lowers the risk profile. Old Mutual's exposure to US credit markets has now dramatically been reduced. And I think it's good that they see that there's a profitability across all businesses. I mean, we saw also yesterday with Liberty's numbers that came out that, you know, life assurance companies and you know seem to be returning to profit as people you know hang on to their life policies and their longer term investments. So I think it is a very good showing on Old Mutual, and it has been duly rewarded because, you know, their cost savings drive has clearly been well implemented, and the emerging market side of their business has been doing very well. So I think you know, it was a very, very good showing on their side.
Taking a look at Absa and Nedbank, both companies released results earlier this week and really left a lot to be desired for investors. We know, as I said, banking sector still under pressure, especially the retail side of things in Ntombenhle. Standard Bank, though, came out with the trading updates, and it says that first half headline earnings per share could rise between 6 and 12%, basically outperforming the likes of Absa and Nedbank.
Yes, yeah, they did come out with that. But I think, you know, if you look at how the share Standard Bank has performed today, it's been pretty much subdued. And I think what the traders are wondering is the contribution of Liberty to Liberty's numbers to Standard Bank. And if you strip that out, was that really a good showing? But, you know, look, we are happy when you look at the company consolidated. It has been a good showing, and perhaps it is one of the stronger of the four main banks in South Africa. You know, they're very well diversified and got quite a good imprint into the rest of Africa. So, you know, I think those are good numbers, but perhaps when you look at what the other banks said earlier on this week, I think expectations have to be reined back a little bit as to what the banks would be showing. I think there was expectations of maybe a profit rise of about 20% across, but, you know, 12% is far less than that. So I think reining back has to be done in terms of expectations of bank sector performance.
In Ntombenhle, just looking at the top 40 and the way that some of the companies are performing today, we know that SAB Miller has come under significant pressure in today's session, and in yesterday's session it was at the bottom of the top 40. Your view on the stock, and any specific reason why it would be moving to the downside so aggressively?
You know, I'm sorry, actually haven't had a look at SAB today, so unfortunately I can't comment.
Just taking a look at the overall sentiment going forward in Ntombenhle, we said it's all about the non-farm payrolls, and also just it is about what's been going on in the US. Your prospects for next week, do you think it really all just stands on the likes of the US?
Well, yes, it does stand there at the moment. I think Europe has been a little bit quiet of late. I think we saw that Greece and Spain have shown that a slight bit improvement in their budget deficits. So attention now back to the United States. I think this afternoon will be key and critical in pointing direction as to what's going to happen next week. I think 3:30 our time, these numbers will be revealed, and then that's when we'll see proper activity into the market going into next week. As far as economic data comes out next week, I think we've got manufacturing data out of South Africa that will be another pointer as to the recovery of South Africa. Manufacturing sector is quite a huge contributor into GDP, so it will be a pointer for the South African economy. And we're also nearing the end of results season in America, so company results maybe no longer dominating performance in terms of the United States, and therefore filtering into the global market. So once again, we expect economic data to now lead the world markets, especially out of the United States, barring anything that comes out of Europe.
Ntombenhle, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank
and I hope
you.
you enjoy your Women's Day on Monday. And of course, it is an all-women Power Lunch Day today for us. Thank you so much.